Good evening. My name is Juliet Jones, and you're watching the AIDS Call-In Live Show. I am with Universal Family Connection, and our phone number is 881-1711. We are a social service agency, and we're centered in the Beverly community, and we've been there for 40 years, giving social service connections and programs to family, women, as well as youth. So, you're watching the AIDS Call-In Live Show. Please call in with your questions or comments at 312-738-1060. And I'm going to begin my program tonight talking about support. More so about psychosocial support services. And what that entails is when someone is HIV positive, they've been diagnosed, by taking the test and also being in the care of a doctor. Now what? Now that they have that HIV status, what do they do next? Well, there is a need for support system to be in place. The support system has to be immediately in place during that testing process, and now once that diagnosis have been given to that person, they need someone to call on just in that second of getting that diagnosis. So they need to be able to reach out to loved ones, whether it's a family support or whether it's a co-worker support, and even that tester, even me as a tester, they are in need of my support. So that's what the topic is about. It's about psychosocial support services. And at Universal Family Connection, we offer support groups for someone who have been diagnosed HIV positive. So that need of support starts immediately after that person has gotten that diagnosed. Because now that they came into our office to get tested, or if they were in a doctor's office, how are they going to get out of that chair? That's when that support comes in. That's when they need to pick up and call a family, a co-worker, a friend, a church member, a pastor. So I am reaching out to you all that's watching the AIDS Call-In Live Show or that's listening through your internet services to call in. Tell me if you are in need of support. I will give you the address, Universal Family Connection. We also have a website you can go. I'm going to give you the website right now. It's www.ufcinc.org. And you can go ahead and look at our website and see the other services that we have to offer. Because it's not just about a person diagnosed being HIV positive. It's about those other wraparound services that's needed. Well, at Universal Family Connection, we do provide those support. And in that getting support, we have 2 licensed therapists who can provide that psychosocial support services. Or we have a health educator, myself. I'm a health educator. I'm a licensed HIV tester. We have domestic violence support. We have mental health support. We have substance abuse support. We even have a connection to the family. Children, I had to test youth who were positive. So they are in need of support. It also can be for our foster care program. Clients there, they have someone that they had to adopt that was HIV positive. So at Universal Family Connection, we do have those wraparound services to support that individual that's HIV positive. So please give us a call at 773-881-1711. And so when we think of support, I'm going to walk you through that process of that person being diagnosed HIV positive. Like I said, now they need to get out that chair. Are you going to be that person that they're going to call to help them, to encourage them, to motivate them that there's life after being diagnosed HIV positive? That's what I want to hear. And if you are that person, please share. Share with our audience, the listener audience, as well as the viewing audience, on why that family support or that pastoral support or that co-worker support is essential to that person that's being diagnosed HIV positive. And now, by now, 35 plus years, HIV, we all heard of some form of someone being HIV positive. It can be a loved one, it can be a co-worker, it can be a family member, it can be yourself. We all in need of support. Everyone needs someone to stand with them in support. Now, as I said, when someone tests positive, now they have to be followed by a doctor every 3 to 4 months. They have to go and get their lab work. You know, they have to measure the amount of viruses in the body through their blood work. They also have to get their CD4 count, which count the white cells of a person, you know, to see if the immune system is as healthy. So there is life after an HIV positive diagnosis. But guess what? That life depends on the support. The support of family members, I'm going to say it over and over, co-workers, pastoral support, any form of where there's a social gathering, that person is needed. I have a caller. So, caller? Hello, caller?
Yes, hello?
Yes, I can barely hear you. How you doing, caller?
All right, and you?
I'm fine. I'm glad you called in. You have a question or a comment?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. I came in contact with someone who was HIV positive. She didn't know. Well, we was intimate a few times. She stopped calling me. Then over a couple of months of time, she told me that she was going through some problems, but she ended up finally telling me that she was positive. First she told me her daughter had AIDS, then she told me she was positive. So my question to you is, okay, I've gotten tested. Should I continue to get tested? I tested, I came up negative. We was using prophylactics the whole time.
Okay,
So, like I said, should I continue to get tested or no?
okay. Well, caller. Well, thank you for sharing that intimate question, and also for sharing your story. But I wanted to ask you, when was the last time, as you say, contacted? Well, we're going to say, when was the last time that you actually was tested? Has it been this year? When was the last time you was tested for HIV? Okay, well, I guess the caller may have hung up, but I wanted to ask the caller when was the last time. So let's just use that scenario. If the last time he was tested was in January the 1st of this year, and if he still is engaging in unprotected sex with that person, then it is advised, of course, that he use protection. But is everything 100%? And it comes with human error. So if he did use a protection, and now we're in October, and so it is safe to say, if he use a condom each time, then he can go ahead. And, there's nothing wrong with getting tested. Go ahead and get tested. Get tested tomorrow. And your results, if a person did use protection each and every time they engage in sex, then that would be his diagnosis. Whatever that diagnosis is, now we can't pretend because we don't know, right? So whatever that diagnosis is, that would be his true diagnosis. Now the reason why I said that, I'll give another scenario. If I had unprotected sex, 3 months, no, I'm going to say 2 weeks ago. And now I came into the office to get tested. I said, I want to get tested for HIV. I had unprotected sex 2 weeks ago. And just say I knew that person's status was HIV positive. What I would do, I would assess your risk factor. I would assess when was the last time you had unprotected sex. And if you say, 2 weeks ago was that last time. And so then I would say, well, let's test you today. Now, today you may not get your true reading, because HIV has antibodies to be built up. And so 2 weeks is not enough time for those antibodies to be built up. So it's that 3-month window period. So I would go ahead and test, but then I would have you come back in 3 more months. But during that time, you have to wear a condom to be your true reading. Caller, come on. Hello, caller. How you doing?
Okay, I'm the guy that just called in, and you asked when was the last time I was tested.
Yes.
Well, when I found out she was HIV positive, we had been dating for like about 3 months, like 3 months, and but when I found out she was positive, I immediately went and got tested.
Okay, but when was the last
that was
time?
like maybe 3 months after we dated, like I don't know, say as soon as I found out. I
No,
mean,
no. Caller, was it in February, March? Was it this year?
I just recently got tested for HIV, like maybe about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so
Again.
still in October. Just say October the 1st, right?
No, actually I got tested for HIV September the 16th.
Okay, September the 16th. And so what I would recommend and what the guideline is, it could be that window period, that 3 month. So I would say in October, November, December, I would say December the 16th. Have another test, but during that time, caller, you have to, as you say, you practice prophylactic, right? A condom. Continue to
Well,
wear
I'm
the
I'm
condom.
not gonna I'm not gonna sit up and tell her a lie. During our intimacy, the prophylactic broke a couple of times. That's why I was kind of afraid.
Exactly, I understand, and that's what happens. It's the human area, the human error, in that the condom would break. It could be sharp nails, it could be anything. So I understand. Thank you for that honesty. But if you say should you go again, when is the next time? It was your question. I would say December the 16th. But during that time, you must practice safe sex, meaning you would have to have a condom during each and every sex.
Because I don't know as of now.
Pardon me?
Because I don't know as of now. I mean, that should be done anyway. That should be done like 99.9% of the time.
Right.
100% of the time, when you intimate with someone.
But it does happen that we don't, and I can, delve into that. But let me explain this. So if you wear a condom every time from now, October, November to December, then when you come in to get that test, just say December the 16th, that HIV test, that will be your true reading. And if you practice protected sex, October, November, December, then that is that, like you said, that probability that your test will be HIV negative. You understand? Because you use prophylactic. Antibodies have to have at least a 3-month window period to build up. We all have antibodies, but do we all have antibodies to HIV? No. But we have that risk factor, and you explain how that risk factor came for you because you did. You said you start out protecting yourself, but it happens. The condom breaks.
I was afraid of saying that because I'm afraid of what someone might say to me. I didn't even share that with my doctor, that the prophylactic had broke. I didn't even share that with him because I was afraid of what he was gonna say. Because he was like, he told me, he was like, well, from what you're explaining to me, that's just a tuna sandwich. That from what you're explaining to me, he was like, you're okay. But I still went on, took the test.
Good.
And
that's what
like I said, I came up.
Did they give you an extra sandwich?
No, I came up negative. No.
Great. Well, that's great. That's great for you. And you're supposed to be able to, and to be comfortable in telling your doctor. The only fear is the fear of what a person will put out there. See how you didn't know, but yet you expressed to your doctor and nothing happened. He gave you more information, and that's what he's supposed to. And one thing we got to understand, HIV is a health issue. So it's okay to talk to a doctor.
And not to cut you off, can I ask another question?
Sure.
I was told by an associate, he told me it would have to be like secretion there. Like he was basically saying to me, like, okay, he didn't say that it was okay to not use a prophylactic. He was just basically saying that it would have to be like a lot of secretion there, like you would.
Now, you see, it's not just secretion. The proper term is HIV is found, for a man, is found in his seminal, it's in the seminal fluid, right? It's not in the sperm. So it's found in the seminal fluid. For the woman, it's in her vaginal fluid. And so if a person, as you say, the person was HIV positive, so your risk factor would be having unprotected, it could be vaginal sex or it could be anal sex. I'm not saying that's you, but that is a behavior. So it could be found, I mean, the risk factor, excuse me, is in having unprotected sex now. So when you say, I don't know if you say the doctor or coworker, it's not just the secretion, it's the seminal fluid. And also it's the blood from a HIV.
So it could be a little bit of it.
Right, exactly. And it's the exposure, and it's the risk factor. And if a person had a condom on or not, but just say if you didn't have that condom on, HIV needs a point of entry. So for a woman to engage in unprotected sex with a man, so we're talking vaginal. Let's just talk vaginal sex. So it has to be a point of entry. So for that man to be exposed and that woman is positive, did the man have a cut or abrasion on the penis? Or is that man circumcised or uncircumcised? And let's, hopefully this is an adult channel, and if children is there, it's time to go get your parent. When you pulling back the foreskin of the penis, and if you pulling and you cutting your area, the penis, see, that's your port of entry. Or the urethra. I got
one more question for you. Is the risk is it equal? Is the risk equal far as for man? I mean, for one. I mean, is the risk like lesser for a man and more higher for a woman, or it's the same? It's 50-50.
Okay, now. I wouldn't say 50-50, and I wouldn't measure it as put a number on it, but I will say this. The opening of a woman, if you can see my hand, I don't know if you can, the opening of the woman's vaginal area is larger than the urethra opening of a man, right? And I said HIV needs a point of entry. So for the woman, she's more at risk because of the larger opening. And not only that, the women have epithelial cells that HIV itself gravitates towards. So do you understand that picture? That urethra, that small opening versus a larger opening. So now, can you see how the measure goes? I have another caller. Caller, may I help you? How you doing?
Hello?
Hello, caller.
How you doing? Hello?
Yes, caller, I can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I was calling. It's some things I want to say. AIDS epidemic has been around for centuries. It has not just now entered into the communities.
Okay, caller, saying you can lower your voice some. I can hear you, so go ahead, caller.
Sure. Okay, well, when they found that cell, they kept that cell frozen.
I'm sorry, caller.
But this is something else that I want to say too.
Sure. The caller, can you lower your voice some? Do you have another phone? Do you have something else on in the background? Can you lower your voice some?
Do you have another phone? Do you have something else on in the background? No, maybe you're. Do you have another phone? Do you have something else on? No, maybe you're. Okay.
Hello, caller. Okay, well, we seem to lost that caller. Feel free to call back. And hopefully, I don't know if it's technical difficulties on whoever end, but I'm hoping I'm answering that question of how that risk can be from that woman that's HIV positive to infect the men. But thank you, caller. So please call back again. So it's important. See, now you see why it's important to have support. Just as the caller said, we do know people that are positive, and it's important to support that person. There is life after that person get that diagnosed. They don't just wither and die. They're still engaging in sex, and hopefully it's protected sex. But if not, guess what? You will be followed by a doctor. You will be followed by a health educator like myself, who will tell you the importance on practicing safer sex. See, now it's a safer sex for that person that's positive. And that safer sex measure would be knowing the status of your sexual partners and practicing condoms, the use of condoms also. That's important to know. I have another caller. Caller? How you doing, caller?
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm calling. It's something I would like to say. I'm 73 years old, and I'm not sexually active. But this is what I wanted to say to quite a few of the young people out here. See, they're warehousing. A lot of the young black men are being warehoused in prisons, and some of them are having sex in there with each other. Then when they get out, they plague the communities. These young women, they're waiting on them to come home, and they're sexually active with them. And not knowingly that they carry, it's just like a virus from one to another. They, drops from one to another. And a lot of the young people, they don't want to listen. And they think this is a joke, but it's not.
Okay.
And the AIDS epidemic is very high among the black race.
Okay.
Very high.
Okay.
Very high among the black race.
Okay, caller.
And what the young people...
Go ahead, caller. Okay, caller. Now, what I would like to add to that is, thank you for calling in and thank you for your perspective. Now, some of the things, yes, it is true. Now, when you say about the men, I'm only going to comment on what you're saying. When you said about the men are in prison and they're engaging in sex, let's say maybe one or two. I'm not going to get into how many or they're not. I would say if they are engaging in sex, it would be anal sex, it would be oral sex, right? And now you're saying now they're hitting the streets, or now they're out, they're released. Now, sex is a learned behavior, right? Sex is an addiction. It doesn't mean it's a bad addiction. So now they're hitting the streets now, and so they were used to having anal sex, and see, when we think of anal sex, we don't think that women and men engage in anal sex. Yes, they do. Sex is a human thing. It's a human nature. It's about human nature. So if that man was engaging in anal sex in prison, well, now when he's out and he still wants to engage in anal sex, whether it's with a woman or a man, he should wear a condom. Simple. It's prevention measures out there. Put a condom on. And so that would be that answer to what you're saying. Now, when you said that, that is true. In my, I've been doing this for 20 years, and my experience is the old and the young do not want to listen. But I still tell people, I still give them that option. I still listen to them and tell them the importance of wearing condoms. The youngest person I ever tested was 17 years old. And they tested HIV positive, and it was a guy. It was a young man. But the thing is, as a health educator, I do have to assess their risk factor. That is important. Why is that important? So they won't make that mistake again, and they'll know the behavior that put them at risk, or the behavior that deemed them HIV positive. So yeah. So as far as what the caller was saying, sex is an addiction and is learned behavior. And so if a man engaged in anal sex, and if he wanted to continue, I can see them doing that again once they hit the streets or once they're out of jail. And it is for the women as far as the men to protect themselves now. Now, everyone's supposed to be responsible. It's called self-responsibility. They have female condoms. They have, they call it the receptive condom, or they call it the FC2. It's called the female condom. And the woman can put that on at her leisure. She could put it on up to 2 hours, 4 hours before she engaged in sex. And that female condom can be worn by the man. Pull the ring out and use it. But now you see why the need for support. At Universal Family Connection, we do have support groups every Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please give me a call at 773-881-1711. Ask for Juliet Jones, or my extension is 1156. And thank you for calling, callers, and for viewing us on this AIDS Call-In Live show. I really did enjoy the call. I enjoy when people call in. How am I really reaching the people if I don't get those questions. So that's something to think about on this AIDS call-in show. Don't be afraid. HIV is a health issue. In fact, that's the only health issue that I know that's being followed by a doctor every 3 to 4 months. Now, give me your reasoning or your answer to that. Do you know of any other health issues that they have to go to the doctor every 3 to 4 months? There's a lot of support surrounding someone HIV positive. That doesn't mean that they withered and died because they had that HIV diagnosed. No, that means they have to learn safer sex techniques. Wear a condom, get their partner tested because they can get reinfected. They can have HIV, they can have herpes, they can have chlamydia because the immune system is weakening. And so thank you. I would like to invite you all to please come out to Universal Family Connection, 773-881-1711, extension 1156. So this is the AIDS Calling Show, and thank you. Just know that there is support out there.